back to Business and Politics. We're talking to Mr. Patrick RONAS, President of the Association of International Shipping Lines. Sir, you said earlier, you know, the Manila terminals are important because that's where about 70% of, you said, of the trade goes through. There have been a number of initiatives in the past administrations to develop alternative ports, Batangas in the south, Subic in the north. Where are we with that? And are you happy with the pace of developments there? And how are those two alternatives looking right now?
Well, you have Batangas and Subic, part of Luzon, and this is where main trade happens. So Batangas as of the moment has been very healthy. It's attracting a lot of international vessel calls because the auto industry is there. You have your motorcycles moving through there, and you have a lot of factories on the south side of Manila. You have your some multinationals who have their factories at that end, and they can move cargo from there or get their raw materials from there. So it's basically good for Batangas. Subic Bay, I think there's a lot of promise considering that with this shift with the US and EDCA sites all over. We think Subic will be the main gateway for some of these EDCA sites where cargo will start coming in, and then it will go through all the other EDCA sites. So it becomes sort of a hub.
Right.
So that will be good for Subic. Other ports, you've got Cebu, Cebu is your gateway to West and Eastern Visayas.
Okay.
You've got Mindanao, Davao, General Santos, or your pineapples, your bananas will come from.
Hopefully durian.
From Davao. No, but in the Visayas, there's a new international call happening as far as international shipping lines are concerned. They're now calling the port of Iloilo. There was a lot of cargo in the past was moving. Any cargo from Iloilo used to move from Cebu. It's shipped over Cebu using domestic ships or overland on trucks. But this is very much welcome considering that Iloilo has been booming, and then at the same time, Cebu port has always been congested. So with lineup draft, there's been some draft restrictions in the past, so you can't really bring in bigger ships.
You mean when you say draft restrictions, you mean the depth of the
water.
Yeah.
So you have to have some free space before for you to make it safely. If it's going to hit, so what do? You carry less cargo on top.
I see.
Yeah, you carry less cargo on top. So that's always been the problem. Cebu has had its fair share of congestion, and in fact, you also hear of Cebu having traffic jams and government limiting the movement of trucks within certain hours a day. Parang Manila, di ba?
Similar.
So, ganun kalaki. Meanwhile, Iloilo is booming, so the economy of Iloilo is doing so well. So it's a good thing. There's an international call made by regional container lines, and now they're calling Iloilo direct. Now in Mindanao, they also are calling the port of Zamboanga.
Okay.
There's never been an international vessel. There were before, but stopped because of the peace and order situation and politics and all that. But now, from what I know, it has steadied quite a bit, and Dr. Henry Basilio, who I'm sure you know, field export in USA, actually did some selling of this and helped RCL because it connected BARM.
Okay.
It connected BARM
from Zamboanga.
And told BARM that, look, your trade should be a little bit more better. This will help being robust. Although the main objective of those people or of Dr. Basil is to eventually maybe a smaller ship can call BARM, and you know what the situation in BARM is. It needs a bit of help. So at least we've got an international call going Zamboanga. Because what happened in the past, products that were exported from BARM, they sell the raw materials. They take, for example, this was taught me, your seaweeds.
The carrageenan,
Yeah, before you turn that into carrageenan, there's the seaweed. The seaweeds, they They sell that and it only costs, I don't know, about 500
I see.
pesos per...
There's no processing pa na.
No processing, but the minute you process it,
There's
it goes 10
value-added
times.
cost,
So
yeah,
it goes 10 times as much. So eventually, they can put up their own Kariginan plant. You're nearer. Wala kang problema. Wala kang risk. You export the finished product already and not just do trading, which is good.
Right.
Which is good. So those are some of the bright spots we're looking at.
Right.
New Port Colid, Iloilo.
What about Davao? Sir,
Zamboanga.
I think when we talked last time, there were some developments in Davao also with, I think, Sasa Port Ben or something.
Okay.
But what's going on? I mean, what's the situation there?
Right now, most of the cargo or most of the export cargo, especially bananas is moving
Pineapple.
out of, and pineapple is moving out of the ICT. That's in Panabo. Sasa, where it's nearer to the port, used to be where a lot of import cargos would go.
I see.
Because it was nearer the city.
I see.
The city proper. Then there was a bidding that happened. One of these companies bought it and then backed. One of these companies bid for it, won it, but then backed out. But now it's been taken over or it's been bought over by Global Port. But we've not heard as to what's a timeline like as to how they will develop that. But they really have to fix that because it's really run down. Was no even if it was run before, but there was no approval for the repairs to be done on the hardtop.
Yeah.
So, but this one, I think you'd have to do it all over again. You can't put tango cranes on those on the pier because it's going to collapse.
Right.
So you have to really fix it up from there.
Yeah.
From
Are
the
there
ground
any
up.
other port destinations that the government should be looking to develop? You think that would help, boost more trade? I mean, you talked about Zamboanga being revived, the developments in Iloilo that opens up Western Visayas, and of course decongest Cebu. Are there any other places in the Philippines that should be looked at by the government, you think, that would be a strategic development option?
Well, for us international liners, we're looking at it's not that easy to build a port
Sure.
or invest in such magnitude. You have to make sure that you have the right volumes. Otherwise, your terminal operator will just suffer a loss. And then, hindi ganun eh. But right now, we've got all the gateways covered, and Iloilo is very much welcome. It's got potential. You already have Batangas. You have Subic.
Yeah.
Right now, things are, I think, steady. Not unless eventually a new manufacturing hub or a bigger manufacturing hub should happen.
Yeah.
Diba? Or if all of a sudden they decide that, okay, Manila's getting to be too congested. But then you'll never know because, again, as I mentioned, we're not against reclamation per se, no? But as long as you do it well. But
hopefully with consultation with
this reclamation maybe can actually help eventually. Like maybe you'll have another route to bypass the usual roads to get to certain destination. And then I heard that the government plans to put up a bridge from Cavite. It goes to
Bataan.
To Bataan.
Yeah.
Ang ganda nun.
Right.
Ang ganda nun.
Do you think, and I want to throw this question at you, do you think we'll be able to compete with the likes of like Singapore or Hong Kong? Because I think the last time we talked about this, you said that they already have the market, right? So how do we move now? So that what do we offer to get that market, or do we build a new market? Or what do you think? What do you think can be done to make the Philippines like a hub for trading in the region?
I think before we basically attract the others to go our end, although that should be a target always. For us, I think we should look internally first. Let's fix ourselves.
Okay.
Let's fix our exporters.
Okay.
If you listen to exporters, what's their biggest problem? If you look at investors, what's your biggest headache? It's all about ease of doing business. Good thing we have PESA. It's under good We've got a good help at PESA.
Yeah.
At PESA now, it's attracting investors. It's a one-stop shop. You know, you
Yeah.
do away with all the red tape when you want to put up a business. One of the things that they actually say about us, Filipinos are very good workers. We can speak the language, international language. We're good. Only problem, I guess, is also the cost of electricity. That's one thing that they have to look at, and that's always a headache. That's why when I talk to a few exporters, they always say that already we know we accept the price of electricity, so it limits us. It limits them from taking a look at some of the other inputs. So they only have a very few margins because the electricity is taking a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
That's something that we have to address. If we can bring our exports up, means we can do more volumes. Makes good for the government. Our throughputs for imports would also go up. And then that's a time that you can attract investors. We're right smack center of Southeast Asia. Para tayong malayo na malapit eh. Kasi usually your main trading partner, like for example China, to go down to Southeast Asia, malayo siya. You can actually carry cargo to China, make a bit of money, and then from here move cargo outside. That makes when you compute for freight cost, it has to be turned around eh.
Okay.
If you're laden here, although this is heaven for any shipping line to achieve. You move laden in, you move laden out, perfect. Balance ka, 1:1 or 1:2, that's fine. But right now kasi it's 1:3 eh. For every 4 imports that come in, only 1 export box
So that's
goes out
something that
laden.
needs to be addressed talaga.
Yeah, that should be addressed. So kailangan bumalanse siya.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Ronas, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Whenever we talk, I always learn something new, and it's some shipping and logistics is so fascinating, but unfortunately, it's not really something we talk about in the mainstream, and I think we should. Before we go, would you like to leave a message to our audience? Maybe some final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Kling. Well, I just want to thank all of those who helped us, most especially during the time of the pandemic, and for our partners in the industry who, true to form, they keep on working. Our brothers in the trade. Without them, we won't be able to sustain the service that we can give. Our terminal operators, our container depot operators. Where we store our empty containers. Our truckers who move the cargo out. And for our customs brokers who make sure that they try to keep the velocity of containers moving, and of course to the government. There are some of them who has helped us. Department of Trade through, you see, DTI, they have the Logistics Services Philippines group. They have a very industrious Assistant Secretary in Jean Pacheco, and he grouped us together. Let's talk about your issue. So it promoted a lot of understanding. Kasi nga, para kaming shipping line, very technical, para kaming we're in a silo. We get hit, we can't say much, but at least there, kakaroon kami ng dialogue. The DOTR, well, thank you very much for keeping a close tab on things, for always listening and trying to find ways how they can help the industry as a whole. We have a very understanding secretary and good people behind, like Elmer Sarmiento, who's the USEC for Maritime, who's always kept an open mind. Nasisermonan kami niyan, pero yung mga good points na pinipick up din niya. And Arta, of course, you see when you go to Arta, babata ng mga technicians, but when I saw the report, the way it came out, it was really good. I mean, wow, you learn everything. I mean, should never close it. And the other people in government or the other government agencies who try to help out, Bureau of Customs, we have to partner with them all the time. We have to reach an understanding with them all the time because that's where our cargo moves. And of course, let's not forget the PPA. I guess eventually there are good things that we get from them. They make sure that all the other stakeholders are in their places. So I'm sure we'll get to an understanding about the stop CRMS later on.
All right. Well, Mr. Ronas, thank you very much. And as you said, let's not forget the first mile.
The first mile, and 90% of everything.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, thank you to our viewers watching this program. Thank you for those watching the replay. And of course, thank you to Pastor Apollo Kibuloy for making this program possible. This has been Business and Politics. I'm Dante Clingpang, and I will see you next week.